What's up, you absolute legends? Welcome to the best footy podcast on YouTube, the one and only footy podcast. You may say other podcasts gets more views. Yeah, and I will tell you everything you need to know. Last week's results, this week preview, maybe even trade rumors. You can tell about all your other sources, but I will go in depth. I will tell you what's going on. I may not do live reactions to games, but I can tell you in-depth analysis. I'm not making up stuff. I don't have biased agendas. I go for Hawthorn, but it doesn't mean I'm biased. I can see things clear cut. So fired up, I mess up my English. Scared of my teeth, it should be. My mustache, do ya? So the semi-finals that just happened, and think about this. This is all one take. Not all this cutting and splicing. This is one take, bro. I do everything one take because I'm a god of this shit. I'm a god. So the semi-finals just happened were both legendary. One was a 3-point and one was a 5-point. Both games insane. The quality of these games are crazy. The best teams won both games, obviously. You can talk about umpiring, you can talk about flukes, you can talk about whatever you want. Port Adelaide won fair and square, Brisbane won fair and square. You can't blame umpiring. It was just stupid. It's just a cop-out to say, oh, my team lost because of umpiring. Stop lying to yourself. I'm a Hawthorn fan. You don't see me blaming umpires. Hawthorn's fault they lost. They didn't kick a goal in the first quarter. They didn't kick straight in the last quarter. That's why they lost. GWS up 44. They played way too defensive third and fourth quarter. That's why they lost. Can't play umpires. Can't play it deliberate where Danaher pushes Taylor and it bounces off Taylor. Taylor was gone the boundary anyway. You can say it's not deliberate. Brisbane still would have won anyway. You don't choke a 44-point lead due to umpires. Stop saying that stuff, man. Stop saying that stuff. You're not a real fan if you blame umpires for losing a game. Like, seriously. Be a real fan. Admit the other team's better. Like, seriously, it's not that hard. It's just stupid. All over Instagram, all over Facebook. We lost. Umpires. Even when it's a 60-point loss. We lost by umpires. What a load of crap. The umpires missed stuff on both teams, not just yours. Just relax yourself. If you're the winning team, be happy. If you're the losing team, be happy your team made it this far. Jesus. And what, I've seen stuff where Hawthorn Port Adelaide 2014 prelim, Hawthorn won by 3. Brian Lake jumps on the ball, 5 seconds to go. The ball comes out. They don't pay a hole on the ball. Port Adelaide fans 10 years later still crying. We should have been in the grand final 2014. Hawthorn fluke win. Crap. What absolute crap. You kicked inaccurate in the first half. Hawthorn had a massive lead on you. That's why you lost. Blaming Brian Lake jumping on the ball. The ball came out, did it not? Jesus, bro. And even if it was a free kick, Angus Monfries, 55 metres out on the siren. He's going to kick a goal to win the game. Rubbish. Absolute rubbish. And even if you did, they call holding the ball. He does kick the goal. Sydney would have slaughtered you. So what are you talking about? Oh, should have been in the grand final. Ken Hinkley. No. You blame all your small losses on umpiring. No, your team's not good enough. Have Port Adelaide ever made a grand final since Hinkley's there? No, because you're not good enough. This year could be different, but in the past you haven't been good enough. So you can't blame umpiring. 10 years ago, still, this haunts me. Brian Lake should have been holding the ball. He jumps on the ball. Port Adelaide should have won that game. No, you should have kicked more accurately in the first half. When you were in control, you wouldn't have lost the game to bozos. 10 years later, he's still complaining about an umpire decision. It's crazy. Wake up to yourself, you bunch of trolls. Stop blaming shit. Just admit your team was worse on the day, mate. Admit Hawthorn were better on the day. They're during their three-peat, mate. They were the better team. Why do you think they finished second that year and you guys finished like 5th or 6th? So be quiet. Be quiet for that. Be quiet. Anyway, I'm fired up now. Fired up. People on Instagram are just stupid, bro. They can't admit defeat. Even when they lose fair and square, you got to make some excuse. We had this player out and the umpiring. I'm sick of it. It's enough. Be quiet. Accept the loss. Move on to next year. Be quiet, and you're going to get trolled because your team lost, and that's it. I can take the trolling Hawthorn losing, but I'm not going to blame, oh, Will Day didn't play, and all umpiring. No, it's Hawthorn's fault they lost. So, enough. Stop excuses, bro. I got no excuse for my team. They lost. Fair and square. Port Adelaide with a better team. More pressure. Better tackling. You know, more goals. So they won, of course. But yes, after that rant, I am here ready to review the amazing games of Friday and Saturday. On Friday, we had Port Adelaide hosting at Hawthorn at the Adelaide Oval, and it was Port Adelaide wanted to get redemption because the qualifying final, but they finished second. They hosted Geelong Adelaide Oval, and they got demolished, I think 84 points. And they wanted redemption, but everyone thought Port Adelaide was going to go out in straight sets, including me, and people thought Hinkley's job was on line. But Port Adelaide came out with insane pressure that they did not have against Geelong. Tackle pressure. Willie Rioli played very well. Jace Burgoyne played very well. Logan Evans on the back line. Todd Marshall was okay. Georgiades was the best forward of the game. Wines was good in the midfield. Butter was serviceable. Rosie was good. Willem Drew was serviceable. A lot of players stood up and they won by 3 points, and they were the better team because they suffocated Hawthorn so much. Hawthorn didn't even kick a goal till like midway to the second quarter. And if it weren't for Port Adelaide's inaccuracy early in the game, Port Adelaide should have won by more, but they couldn't open up the lead bigger when Hawthorn couldn't even kick a goal the first quarter, and Port Adelaide kicked inaccurate in the first quarter. So it could have been a lot bigger lead. And Hawthorn was up, I think maybe third quarter, so it was quite a seesawing game. But then in the end, Hawthorn hit the post twice in the last quarter, and they kicked another behind. So they kicked like 2 goals 3 or 3 goals 3 in the last quarter. And Sicily had a chance to win the game. Dylan Moore had a chance to win the game around the corner, and they both hit the post. So in the end, it's Hawthorn's fault they lost, but they got mighty close, and it was a great effort. Yeah, so in that last quarter, Port Adelaide 4 goals 1, and then Hawthorn 4 goals 3. So if Hawthorn would have kicked straighter, they would have won, but can't talk about whats or ifs, or Port Adelaide were the better team, and yeah, if Port Adelaide should have won by a bit more because Hawthorn didn't kick a goal the whole first quarter, and Port Adelaide kicked 2 goals 3. So that could have been 5 goals straight, or even 4 goals 1, or 3 goals 2, and it would have been a lot bigger margin. But I guess Hawthorn came back. Hawthorn played a lot better, second, third, and fourth quarters. They played a lot better. And Port Adelaide were good too, obviously, but Port Adelaide, their tackling was crazy. Every time Hawthorn had the ball, there was tackle pressure, and in the end, Hawthorn had more tackles in the game. But yeah, Port Adelaide's pressure at the start was crazy, and Hawthorn never recovered. They got very close, and they were front for a little bit, but the pressure was crazy. That's why Hawthorn had shots from boundaries and things like this, because the Port Adelaide pressure was crazy. And the start of the first half, the pressure was insane, so it's crazy how Port Adelaide were only up by 9 at half time, even though Port Adelaide's pressure was intense and like crazy. But they kicked 5 goals 6, that's why they're only up by a little bit. But imagine if they was like more straight, they would have been up like maybe 20 or 30 at half time. So Hawthorn was very lucky they was down only by a little bit at half time. And the comeback was on and all that, but then they squandered some chances the last quarter. But yeah, Sweet was better in the ruck than Meek, which has surprised me. And Port Adelaide, their best performance in a long time in a final was underdogs. They played very well, even with Horne-Francis and Marshall getting injured late, or even Todd Marshall getting subbed out. The Burgoyne and Wines are very good. Evans was good. Rosie, Horne-Francis were good. Horne-Francis had his good run. Drew, Zerk Thatcher marked a lot of things, man. Very good interceptor. Butters was good. Bergman, Rioli, Sweet. Even Radigalia, he was marking a lot, man. Like, he played a lot better than he usually does. For Hawthorn, same names were pretty good. Newcomb, Scrimshaw, Amon, Nash, Sicily. But they swung Sicily forward for the last quarter. He kicked 1 goal 2. So imagine he kicked 2 goals 1, they would have won the game. But it was a smart move to put him in the forward line because Hawthorn were coming hard in the last quarter. They needed a marking target. Because Kalshir didn't play that well, and that's not his fault. He's a young guy, but not many. The tall forwards weren't marking anything for both teams, really. It was all the small guys marking and things like this, and Crumming and all that. And Georgiades is probably the only tall forward that marked the ball heaps. But Nick Watson, he had a good game. Ginnivan kicked his 2. Ginnivan was quiet compared to his last game. He kicked 2 goals, but he was quite quiet. But then they neutralised basically all the small forwards. Sicily kicked 1. Dylan Moore kicked 1 goal 1. Bruce kicked his 1. Scholl kicked 1. Deere kicked 1. McGuinness kicked 1. And Werpel was quiet with 18. But I think he was quiet the last final 2 because he was neutralised pretty well. But yeah, Bruce coming off with the sub in his 300 and kicking a goal to like keep the game close was very good. And Moore had a lot better game than he did last week. 16-1 is a pretty decent return, but they neutralised the whole Hawthorn forward line. Their defence was suffocating, a lot better defence than they played against Geelong. And everyone thought the Hawthorn, even me, the Hawthorn small forwards would go crazy. Ginnivan, Watson, Moore, and McDonald would go crazy, but they didn't. They were held pretty well. Bruce had his one. McDonald kicked nothing. McDonald was very. Connor McDonald was quite quiet, probably the most quiet game in a long time. He only had 10 and kicked goal at all. And Watson has 3 and Ginnivan has 2. So out of all the main forwards, they had 6. And last week, all the main forwards had about like 6 or more. And Coucher Deer kicked 3 last week. And I think Watson kicked 4 last week. And Deer had nothing. And Gunston was like a non-factor. He got subbed off third quarter or second quarter, but he barely touched the ball because it wasn't a night for the Hawthorn tall forwards to mark a lot. But if you look at the marks, it was Burgoyne and Thatcher off the backline marking a lot. And then for Hawthorn, Scrimshaw and Sicily marked the ball a decent amount. But Chol was only 4 marks. Ginnivan, McDonald 3. Look at tall forwards, like Deer only marked it once and Gunston marked it once with 2 touches. So the tall forwards didn't play very well because against Port Adelaide, Radaglia and Zerk Thatcher and Bergman and all them just suffocated. And yeah, it was very hard to see though. Coucher Deer backing up such a good game in the first final, 3 goals to 1 goal. But and Watson, at least Watson backed up. Watson's probably one of the best. Him and Newcombe were one of the best. But still, Newcombe's game wasn't as good as his first final. Obviously, he had a lot more impact in the first final. This game, yeah, he had 31, but he wasn't like his best game ever because he had a lot of like very rushed handballs. But obviously, the pressure was crazy. He handballed 24 times, and you'd want him to kick the ball more, but he couldn't. But the pressure was that crazy, you know. And like most of his touches were in the defensive half, and you'd want him to like get the ball more in the middle and like you know. But he had a lot of contested possessions, and he had 6 goal involvement, which is pretty decent for him in a game losing. But you'd want him to kick the ball more and like more clearances, but he didn't have as much clearances as you'd want him to have. He had 6, which is decent, but you'd want him to have more. But the clearance, I think Port Adelaide won the clearances in the end, but Sweet was very Sweet, and Willem Drew had 6 each. Newcombe and Werfel had 6. Butters had 5. Horne-Francis 5, Meek 5, Wines 4. So it's like Port Adelaide midfield was definitely better, forward line was better, but defense was better, and Dixon going out late was a maybe helped them. Because that Sin guy came in defence and he probably played better than Dixon would have played. So, will Dixon come back in the prelim? Will Kane Farrell come back in the prelim? I am not sure, but Port Adelaide will have momentum. And yeah.